Olá, olá, BPM Friend! Sempre que eu começo o vídeo nessa posição, você já sabe que vem coisa boa por aí, né? Quando eu participei da BPM Conference 2024, lá na Polônia, na Cracóvia, eu tive a oportunidade de visitar o stand da Software AG, que atualmente é a fornecedora do Ares. Inclusive, foi nesse stand que eu ganhei, essa canequinha, e que vocês viram muito nos stories da DEC, adoraram essa frase. Nesse stand eu conheci o Mark, que hoje vai se juntar a nós aqui nessa conversa. O Mark, que atualmente é o CPO, Chief Product Officer Global da Software AG, responsável pela linha de produtos do Ares, porque muita gente conhece o Ares aqui no Brasil como ferramenta de modelagem de processos. Quem já teve a oportunidade de usar ama, porque na verdade a ferramenta tem recursos muito mais avançados do que um simples desenhador de processos, como outras ferramentas. Então o Ares tem, por exemplo, um banco de dados que permite que todos os elementos da nossa modelagem de processos sejam tratados como objetos. E com isso a gente consegue fazer pesquisas, associações e torna o reuso e a manutenção das nossas modelagens de processos muito mais simples. Só que o que muita gente não sabe, o Mark vai contar pra gente hoje, é que o Ares também tem módulos de governança de processos, simulação de processos e até mesmo de mineração de processos. Então eu tô te convidando desde agora a já deixar o seu like aqui nesse vídeo, se inscrever no canal da DECA, o maior canal de BPM do Brasil. Ativa o sininho, hein, para você ser notificado sempre que tiver um vídeo bacana que nem esse. Senão você sabe que o YouTube não vai deixar você saber. E já quero te convidar desde agora a compartilhar esse vídeo com outros BPM Friends do trabalho. Manda no grupo do WhatsApp, do seu escritório de processos, para ninguém perder essa conversa que está muito bacana. Preparado? Preparada? Então, agora sim, vem comigo bater esse papo com o Mark Vieto. BPM friends, welcome to DECA's YouTube channel, the biggest BPM channel in Brazil. My name is Andrea Magalhães and I'm the host. Today, I'm honored to receive Mark Vitor, the Chief Product Officer of Ares. Hello, Mark. I'd like to thank you for accepting the invitation. It's a pleasure to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me. It's really a pleasure for me to really speak to this passionate audience in Brazil.
Well, first of all, I'd like to present Mark. Mark is the Chief Product Officer with global responsibility for the Ares product line, helping customers to transform, optimize, and control their business and IT. Product management, research and development, marketing, support, customer success, and professional services are his direct responsibilities. He holds over 30 years of experience in business development and in process transformation consulting. He joined Software AG in 1994. Mark has a master's degree in industry and science from the Technical University in Kaiserslautern, Germany. Did I forget something?
You're making me older than I feel, so thanks for the introduction.
You don't appear to have 30 years of experience adjusting with Ares, but okay. Let's move on. So, Mark, the stage is yours. You can share some details about the Ares. It's a tool that here in Brazil, our community used to love it, but maybe people only know the modeling. So maybe you can present more details for us.
Yeah, sure. Happy to do that. And I think I would like to really give you an overview what we describe as process intelligence. And this means that intelligent processes run on Ares. And I think to set the scene a little bit, I think it is important to understand what are the typical use cases that our customers solve with Ares. I think you mentioned already the documentation part of it, but I think we see much more. It's really big transformations from, let's say, one business model to the other. So one of our customers is really transforming from a, let's say, container shipping company to an end-to-end logistic provider, which needs new processes all around the world. The next one is what we would describe as operational excellence. So really optimizing your way of working. So what is a little bit the core and the heart of ARIS for the last 32 years, documenting, govern, and optimizing your processes in a continuous manner. Another big use case is what we call workforce enablement. So really bringing the process know-how to the people. A good example is a big retailer where in every shop, ARIS is used to explain the process to the people in the store. What happens if there's an accident or the shelf is empty? So what are the processes they have to follow? The other one is enterprise architecture, the linkage between business and IT with typical, let's say, topics like TOGAF, Archimate, and alike. The other one is SAP transformation, S/4HANA, but that is also true for Oracle or Microsoft ERP solutions, where we have a very deep integration, for example, to the SAP application lifecycle management. And the other one is about automating processes, because documenting, communicating, aligning is nice, but at the end you want to really execute the processes as well. That's where we have robotic process automation, software bots, an ARIS app generator, where you can generate based on your, let's say, process description, small apps. On the left-hand side, you will find also use cases for optimizing your customer journeys, but could also be partner journeys, could be employee journeys. I think that's the use case to really drive better customer excellence. And last but not least, risk management, governance, risk and compliance, sustainability, operational risk management, but also operational resilience. What is a big topic in the banking space right now, for example, in Europe, to be prepared for the next hacker attack and how you act on that, but also how you avoid that, to understand what are the impacts on your business service. I think that is a little bit a big picture customers do today with ARIS.
Okay.
So the ARIS suite contains out of, let's say, 4 main areas. The first one is what many customers in Brazil are, let's say, using ARIS for, what we call business process analysis. That is documenting, analyzing, doing the governance around your business processes. Then we have on the left-hand side process mining, really understanding the reality and compare it to the design part. So really taking timestamps of your ERP system or any other back-end system and create the real executed processes out of it, to really understand where are the bottlenecks, what are the cycle times, where to improve. Risk and compliance is really taking the risks, associating tasks and controls, running the audits, managing data privacy and other regulations, or in the banking space, DORA or Basel or whatever regulations you have in the different regions all around the world. And last but not least, the automation of the processes. And all that is supported with AI, and we will see in a minute how AI really can help us to go to the next level.
Mark, let me ask you a question about business process analysis. One of the things that makes me and many other process analysts love ARIS here in Brazil is the idea of a database which helps reusing objects during process modeling. Can you explain a little bit more how this magic happens?
Yeah, I think it's what we technically call occurrence copy. So you have, let's say, you create a role, a sales manager, and this sales manager is working in many different processes. So let's imagine you draw that in PowerPoint, and then you want to change that role to sales leader. Then you have to do it in each and every place where this occurrence happened. And what we do in ARIS, we store it once in a central database and reuse it in all, let's say, diagrams or visual representations, which also gives us the ability to understand the impact if I change this role, in which processes he's working, or do other analytics, what IT systems this role is using, or which risks he is managing, and so on and so on. I think that gives us this analytical capability because we have really one object in the database. So if we think about the business process analysis, coming back to your question, it is really this modeling capability and the central repository that you mentioned. It is the analysis of all these contents, but it's even more important to collaborate and discuss and bring it to everyone. Like there's, I think, 100,000 employees in this retail example, that everybody knows, I think, 18 different countries in 12 different languages, how they have to do their job, and to really run the right governance around that. So if you want to have a change in the process, let's imagine again retail, and there is a COVID pandemic happening. So what processes I need to change? Who needs to approve the new process? So really this governance around that is key. And also bringing process KPIs within dashboards to the management. Leaders are normally not interested in the detailed BPMN flow. They want to understand, is my process healthy? Is it performing well? Is it standardized? I think that kind of dashboards they are interested in.
Yeah, regarding process governance, I have used this workflows governance before in ARIS, and it's very exciting because you can define your workflow, right? You can say, okay, my process will be approved first for the process executor, and then it needs to be validated through the process manager, and then it will be published, and so it's an interesting idea for having the control of your process, right?
Bringing that workflow capability, this governance workflow, with the next release also to the next level, because right now it needs a lot of technical understanding to really implement this governance workflow. And we really want to make it even easier for everyone to design it, and also using AI to define the workflow. Like you say, hey, I want to have an approval process with 4 I principles, and I need first a designer, then an approver, and then a second quality check. And you just describe that verbally, and the AI supported ARIS flows will then create automatically this workflow without being a technical expert. I think this slide summarizes a little bit the main capabilities in that area. We have probably the leading and easiest way to design processes in a very fast and efficient manner. The analysis gives our users the chance to highlight certain things, see dependencies, compare version A and B of a process with each other, or communicate the process without a BPMN model, because BPMN is nice, but not everyone really understands that. So my vision is more have a BPMN free publication to the users. And in an ideal world, even talking to your iPhone, asking a question, what is the next step if a sales order is blocked? And then the AI gives you the answer. In the background, for sure, there needs to be a very good BPMN diagram with all the content information. But I think for the non-expert user, I think we need to find, and we have already great capabilities that make it easier to consume that. And you mentioned the governance workflows. I think that is exactly how easy it can be to really manage and secure the quality of your processes. And I think I've been at Global BPM conference, but also the process mining conference. And what we see there is that simulation is really coming up as a big trend in the market. Because at the end, you want to optimize your processes, not just document them. And last but not least, you want to also roll it out to the users so that they confirm that they have read and understood the new process. So think about rolling out a new travel policy. It's nice to send an email, but yeah, who cares? With that capability, you can really track that down. On the automation space, just a few highlights. One is really software robots that really can help you to execute some tasks. We also have a task mining capabilities that you can more or less do a screen recording to understand what the user is executing in a certain task, and then visualize that automatically as a process flow. One of the very long-lasting and rich capabilities is around the integration to SAP to really link the business requirements to the SAP world, also using it for testing, for rollout, for trainings and alike. I mentioned the app generator where you can really create small apps there as well. And if we think about the governance, risk, and compliance capability, it is really about capturing your entire risk landscape. So with risk, controls, regulations, who is responsible for this? What is the system that is used for managing these risks and so on? And then assessing these risks. So really executing that on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, that you really are in control what you are managing. What is a good example is there in Europe, there's a new AI regulation, the so-called EU AI Act, where every customer and every company in Europe needs to do a risk assessment of new AI applications that they are implementing. Might it be a face recognition when somebody enters the building? That has to be assessed from a risk standpoint. And that is a solution that we're also providing pre-built in ours.
Unfortunately, we don't have this kind of risk analysis here in Brazil yet.
But I think, I guess that will come. So it's more a question of when, because that is really a big topic also in the US right now. Because with every positive thing of AI, there's also a potential risk that you need to manage in the right way. In the risk and compliance space, it's also about self-assessments, workflows for issues. So if you determine, if you run this kind of audit, and there are deviations, that you can really follow these issues. And with that, coming to the highlight from my point of view, it is process mining. And the good thing is that we are combining all that in one suite. So it's not one product here, one product there. It's one ARIS that really helps you to discover the executed process with the process discovery capabilities to really see how many variants of a sales process you have in your company. You can check the compliance to the design the documentation, the modeling that you have done to see if you are compliant to that or not. And you can really easily integrate with any data source. So might it be a Salesforce, an SAP, a data lake, or just an Excel file. And you can overlay that with the design world. So if you look at the left-hand side, probably I can make that a little bit bigger. So this is the BPMN flow in gray in the background. In blue, you see where the executed, the as-is world is identical to the to-be world. So that design and executed one is in line. But we also see red ones, which means they are in reality, but they are not in your designed process. Could be that your model was not good enough. It could be that people have done things they shouldn't do and they are incompliant, or they need training to avoid these steps. So that gives you a complete insight. Plus, you can overlay that also with the relevant KPIs that you directly see as a business analyst. How long does this process take? How long is this step? What are the different paths in there? And you can then directly take actions. So if you see, hey, there is this deviation, I want to trigger an email, or I trigger SAP to unblock some data, or I want to create a Jira ticket. I think that's here on the screen. So that you really make it not just an analytical thing, but really make the change happen at the end.
It's very nice to see this process mining functionality, because we met during the BPM conference in Krakow, and we know that in the BPM field, process mining nowadays is a very exciting topic. People are researching, developing, and studying, working, and using it in practice. And I think that it's very interesting to have all of these in the same suite. So Iris nowadays can provide both process modeling, as we used to know, but also automation and process mining and compliance. So I think it makes more easy for us to have a suite with all of these integrated, right?
Absolutely. I think that is for us one of the key things, to really have it in one package, in one suite, to really have the entire life cycle supported for our customers. And we want to also support them with new AI capabilities. So I think if you touch base in the modeling part, so we have a model generation capability. So you just enter a text, might be from an intranet page, it could be a transcript of a Teams meeting, and then our AI companion will then generate the BPMN model. Or you use an AI-based search. Or think about the process mining that you have seen, where you can ask questions. Where are my bottlenecks? What is the longest lasting variant? Where should I improve? So I think that is a little bit what we do with our AI capabilities, to really help customers to democratize business process management, so that everybody can contribute using AI with their process knowledge. And everybody in the company should be able to get this knowledge out on the other side, to really make it as easy as possible by just asking questions like before: who is the boss of our company? What should I do if this step in the process fails? What is the next step? I think that is exactly what we provide with our Gen AI capabilities in our. But I'm ready to show you the AI generation. I think it was a little bit a test of my flexibility, but that's good. Yeah, so I think what you see there, I think it's the modeling environment of ARIS. So I created an empty BPMN model. And what you see here on the right-hand side is a vacation process that I just copied out of our intranet. So how a vacation request should go, it should have the start and end date. Then it goes to the supervisor. If the manager approves, this happens, and so on. And then I say just generate the model, and I think that is what happened right now. So I think I submit the vacation request, I review it, I assess the impact, reject it, notify it, and so on and so on. And I think then if I say, hey, that looks good, I can just insert that into the modeling canvas, and then say, hey, that's nice, but here there should be an additional step in between. I think that one, mark the calendar. I think it's not needed anymore. And then I change it. And then if I'm fine, I just press save, and then I'm done.
Which is super cool, right? You have your own AI and you describe the process, so you can take your notes from a process elicitation session or something and put your notes inside the AI, and they are just going to create the BPMN model for you, or at least one first version, and you can review it and improve it, right? My God.
Yeah. No, I think that's the idea. And I think we have tested that, for example, with a Teams meeting where we did an interview with a procurement person that described how the procurement process works. Then we put the transcript, put it into AI, and it really filtered out all the noise and really created a good draft of the BPMN. So really amazing and helpful to really bring the knowledge of everyone into the BPMN, into the business process management repository, into ARIS, to let everybody contribute with his process.
Mark, and after seeing all these tools of ARIS, all this technology, how do you see the future of BPM and the future of ARIS Suite? Is it all done and nothing else to do, or what do you see in the path for the future?
One main trend is, as you have seen, to make it easier to work with ARIS, even more than today. What is a good example? I think you have seen the model generation. But I think we started our discussion that we have these objects that will be reused. So now I have created a lane that is called sales manager, but this object might be already in my database. So AI should recognize that and reuse it automatically. Or what we have done with the latest release is that it creates automatically descriptions of the process and the different tasks. So really extending the intelligence of our AI capabilities. I think, but the main trend is to make it easier for the user and especially for the consumer. I think we had in the past process management as an expert thing, and we see that everybody in an organization should use ARIS on a day-to-day basis to really make it easier to do their job. And the other one is we're working a lot right now on the automation space to really make it easy to design a process and then execute it. I think that's one other big investment area next to extensions for process mining with machine learning, or a new simulation capability where we bring modeling simulation and mining simulation really together so that you can really view it from all different input sources to find out what is the best process for your organization based on your resources, constraints, and so on.
Mark, when we talk about tools and technologies and AI and process mining, always come to mind the question about people. Do you think that all these technologies make the process managers or process experts less important? And how do you see the role of BPM Center of Excellence when you have a tool with so powerful like Iris?
Okay, the probably easiest answer, a fool with a tool is still not creating the value. So you really need to understand how to really embed process management into your organization, have the right management support, have the right buy-in, and make it also a daily practice to continuously optimize your way of working, embed it into the IT part of the house, because that is often a little bit the shaky thing, that you have great process managers or process owners, but it's not linked to the IT side. And I think for me, this really needs to be one integrated process, really from the company strategy, your business model, your detailed process flows, but then how that is really executed in your back-end systems, in workflows, in orchestration, in SAP, in Salesforce, whatever, and that you really then manage also the governance around that. So for me, business process managers or chief process officers are really key for the success and the transformation of an organization. The speed of change is more and more increasing. And to manage these transformations, I think you need a robust understanding of your processes. You need to understand the impact if you do a transformation and be able to manage the change, and also then measure if you're getting better or not, which leads then to this process mining thing, because that is often the difficulty that we have seen in the market with all these RPA tools. If you automate a bad process, it's just a faster bad process. So I think having this mindset and understanding that you need to really understand process management in a more holistic manner, I think that's important. So all times are good for process management. If there's a crisis, okay, you need to optimize your processes to cut costs. If there's a booming industry, I think you need to find new business model, new revenue streams, which leads to new processes at the end as well.
Mark, one final question. If you were a beginner nowadays, how would you start studying BPM? Do you have suggestions for our community here in Brazil that are interested in learning more about BPM? Do you suggest any books, videos, courses, or something?
Okay, one is probably an unfair answer. I think I still love the books of Professor Scher, the founder of ARIS. I think they are still valid from my point of view, explaining process management and the ARIS house and how all that works together. If it's a little bit more oriented to practice and tooling, I would recommend our, say, aris.com, where you find a lot of tutorials, best practices, or the learning.softwareag.com, where you will find all the for free training material also on the product. There's a free trial, so if you want to play around with it, learn it by doing, I think that's for sure something that we can offer as well.
Mark, once again, I would like to thank you. I appreciate your time, your attention during this conversation. It's very important to spread the word about BPM here in Brazil. So it was my pleasure to share more details about ARIS with the Brazilian BPM community. Thank you very much.
It was my pleasure.
BPM Friend, quanta novidade, quanta inovação bacana no ARIS. É claro que eu já conheço a ferramenta, a gente já trabalhou com ela diversas vezes, a gente conhece bem a modelagem de processos, os workflows de governança, de aprovação e publicação de processos. Acompanhando os movimentos de mercado, eu sabia que eles têm sim um módulo de mineração de processos, mas não tinha ideia de que era tão completo, tão poderoso. E me surpreendi com a informação de que também tem uma ferramenta de RPA e um módulo exclusivo para compliance. Então, olhando todas essas funcionalidades integradas e conhecendo o poder do Ares, a gente vê também o ritmo acelerado do mercado de BPM, o quanto as ferramentas estão evoluindo rapidamente, ainda mais agora com a chegada da inteligência artificial. E o Mark foi muito aberto ao explicar um pouquinho do que está no roadmap de melhorias deles aí para serem lançadas em breve. Então espero que todas essas novidades e inovações tenham sido interessantes e úteis para você, que você possa aplicar tudo isso no seu escritório de processos. Se você tiver dúvidas, perguntas, comentários, coloca aqui embaixo desse vídeo e a gente encaminha para o Mark e para o time dele. Quero te convidar a curtir esse vídeo, porque esse vídeo merece muitos e muitos likes, hein? Encaminhar esse vídeo para todos os BPM Friends do seu trabalho. Não deixa de se inscrever e ativar o sininho aqui no canal da Deca, o maior canal de BPM do Brasil, que só a gente traz um conteúdo tão bacana quanto esse para você. Quero te convidar a seguir o nosso Instagram, @DecaConsulting, acompanhar a gente de pertinho no LinkedIn e, claro, o nosso DecaCast, que sai toda segunda-feira. E te vejo em breve com mais um vídeo bacana da área de BPM para você. Até lá!